gone straight to change. What is change? Change became very popular in Nigeria, where I'm from, after the last elections. And after some time, people decided they didn't really want that change anymore. But before I go off on a tangent, change means to make someone or something different or to modify. And I'll just give an example, like someone saying, I used to be a drunkard before I met my wife. She changed me. So people change. Some people are changed, but we can say that you can help people change, but really it's very difficult for human beings to change other human beings. So that would be far-flung to expect that you can change somebody. Another definition of change could be an act or a process through which something becomes different. So it can be an evolution. So some people can say our relationship, a couple can say their relationship deepened after they attended Find the Link sessions, for instance, or they could say that maybe their relationship changed after they moved to a particular country, things like that. Change can be gradual or fast. It can happen at any time. It should not be coerced or forced. It can happen to you or for you, meaning external circumstances can cause a change in your life. Positive change can be encouraged through affirmation or modeling, meaning showing people the change you want to see. That's modeling. Affirming people means like encouraging them when you see that they're doing the things you desire. So that is positive change. The same way negative change can be encouraged, especially through words. So through harsh words or emphasizing the negative trend, it can be accentuated. So my last point on this slide is that a willingness to change is not equivalent to motivation to change, and it's not equivalent to eventual change. I'm hoping my co-host can help me mute everybody again. Thank you. Or please mute yourself. Thank you. So where was I? So I've just said willingness to change is not equivalent to motivation to change or to eventual change. So someone saying, oh, I want to change. I don't want to be like this anymore. Does not mean that they're actually going to change. Does not mean that they are motivated to change. And it does not mean that they are going to change. So that's kind of saying talk is cheap. The actions that are going to bring about that eventual change may be quite far-flung. Let's put it that way. So to exist is to change is to mature. To mature is to go on creating oneself endlessly. So change is not bad. Change is good, can be good. And because we are human beings and we're constantly improving ourselves, or we should be, so we realize that change is not something to run away from. It's just a call for us to do things differently. And sometimes we do that by ourselves. Sometimes situations happen that make us make changes in our lives. Okay, so common changes in relationships. Now, I put this slide, but before I go on to the things on this slide, there are changes that can happen from external sources, and there are changes that can happen from internal sources. So these common changes are quite broad and could fall within any category. So a personal change. So a personal change would be a man, could be a personal change would be a man becoming a father, for instance. It's a life change, or a woman getting married. So it does not really matter that the change is positive or negative. It is a life change. It's something that has practically changed their lives. A person can have like a change that makes them draw closer to God, become more spiritual. It's a life change. So even though it's a personal change, because they're closely involved with someone else, it affects those people as well. And depending on how those people feel about the changes, it could cause a rift in the relationship, or it could make it even stronger. If I want to talk about cultural change, so some people move from one region of the world to another region, which involves sometimes adjustment of their minds to a new culture. Sometimes that changes the way people relate in a relationship. So maybe when they were in Nigeria, for instance, since I like talking about Nigeria, if they were in Nigeria, for instance, the man came home, met his food on the table. There were probably 2 or 3 house helps. The house is usually clean. Just things that you generally take for granted in that time. And then they've moved to a developed country in which they have now had to search for jobs. Money is not flowing as usual. They practically have no help and they have young children, meaning they have to take care of their children. They need to take care of the home. They need to be financially sufficient. And within that sphere, they still have to take care of each other. And sometimes this is why relocation from one country to another can cause a rift if a relationship is not very solid and the couple are not able to communicate, because it is a huge change from one to the other. Job changes. So job changes could be that you've been in one role and you've stepped up to a higher role, which is busier, which could translate to longer hours in the office, which could translate to coming home more tired than usual. This will make a difference if you are the one that was supposed to usually make a dinner before you change your job or moved up the ladder. So these are changes that people might encounter that might cause a change in their relationship. Just a minute. I'll probably need my co-host to mute everybody again, please. Then there are hormonal changes. A lot of people know that sometimes when teenagers are entering a particular phase of adulthood, there are changes that happen in their bodies. Some people know that when women are at a particular time of the month, there are changes in their hormones that make them act differently. Some people have a lot of hormonal changes that are very difficult to manage. And sometimes it's before, I'm talking about a period now. So I'm talking about a woman having a period. So before a period, a woman might have headaches. She might look all swollen. Different things can happen. She might be more tired than usual. She might even be a bit more cranky. And some people then realize after they get used to their bodies that this is due to the hormonal changes at this time of the month. During the period, she'll probably not be receptive to intimacy at that point. She might be very she might be in a state where she's in a lot of pain, and so she's more likely to lash out or be cross if she's not being pampered at that time. Other things that can happen is that she might be anemic, she might be weak, and it's not a time when you probably want to be hearing someone complaining that this or that was not fine in the house, because she's probably dealing with a lot of stuff. So if you don't understand that there are hormonal changes at that time, you might be wondering that what's wrong with her, or why is she acting this way? And if the partner is not understanding, it could cause a rift. Okay, so health changes are wide. So there are physical changes, there are mental changes. People sometimes have a health decline, people sometimes have a mental decline. And when people have decided that they want to be in a long-term relationship, these are things that they don't get prepared for, but sometimes happen. And this is part of the for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health parts, because these are not things that we can see ahead of time. But with understanding and love, these are things that can be dealt with sensitively when they come, when they happen, especially when you get more informed about what is happening with that condition and how to manage it. Then there could be changes in relationships due to loss. So if you had a gentleman that was extremely close to his mother and now has a spouse, maybe there were things that she did or things that she said when he went through a particular situation, or maybe a prayer that she said for him in the morning when he's going out, and he just wakes up one day and begins to be very moody because he remembers that this is what his mother would have done. And if there is no communication about what he's going through at that time, or there's no attendant understanding, then it becomes a very hard time. It could be the woman at this time as well, or it could be the loss of a child, for instance, or a very, very close person that affects them. And it seems external, but it could cause internal things within the relationship. So just things to think about, really. Okay, so this slide says pain can change you, but that doesn't mean it has to be about change. Take that pain and turn it into wisdom. So many times it's not really about what has happened. It's about the attitude we bring to it, and it's about the actions we're willing to take about them.